Ladies and gentlemen, we were joined by our worthy guest and an honorable speaker, Mr. Muddassir Riaz Malik. Let's give him a first big hand and I'll introduce him. Muddassir Riaz Malik Saab, well, because I'm an electrical engineer, so I think I'm going to, and that's the introduction most dearest to my heart. So that's what I would start with. He's an electrical engineer, and then he's done his master's in public policy from Australian National University, Australia. He's from the 33rd Common, serving in Pakistan Administrative Services. He served as DC Multan, as DC Lahore, and now currently he's Director General Social Welfare in Bait-ul-Maal. I request Muddassir Riaz Saab to please come and share his thoughts and talk to you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم. Dr. Bishra, Qasim Shah Saab, all the esteemed guests who are present in the panel, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and good morning. It's really a great pleasure all the time, every time whenever I come here in Lahore College of Women University, whenever I've been invited here for any kind of discourse or sharing of thoughts, it's really a great pleasure for me. Today's talk is definitely related to SDGs, we all know that, and I would not be probably so eloquent on the subject, but I would be probably talking from the perspective of the practical knowledge which I have from work, which I bring from work. I have been into service for the last around 16 years. I worked at various places. I'm electrical engineer, of course, but I changed my career in 2004 when I joined civil service. So since then, I have been working in the field. I have worked in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa for 6 years. In toughest of areas, South Waziristan also a traditional political agent, and so on and so forth. Remained as deputy commissioner 3 places and a commissioner as well in Dera Ghazi Khan. Today I am speaking from the different portfolio. I am nowadays Director General Social Welfare in Bait-ul-Maal, which is a department that relates to the marginalized and vulnerable segments of society that works for that purpose. Though, unfortunately, this never remained at the priority list of the government, the social welfare subject or social security subject, but still, there are a lot of things to count upon, which we can share with you, and I will be definitely sharing my thoughts on that and my experiences from the field of social welfare. My discourse to you would be carrying 3 kind of aspects. Firstly, I would like to relate some of the evidence related to women entrepreneurship and the women empowerment, especially, which must be close to you as well, because this university is the conglomeration of is the joint venture of all the women and the girls who study here. So that manifests the great power and strength which exists in you. So I will be talking from that perspective, women empowerment and poverty alleviation, how women empowerment and women entrepreneurship can help alleviate poverty. I will try to bring some evidence from the international data, then try to relate it or kind of create an external validity from Pakistan. And then afterwards, I would like to share with you what Social Welfare Department is doing in this regard. In the last, I would like to have a poll from all of you. I will pose a couple of questions to all of you, and I'd like to you to respond to me by raising your hands or whatever way you like to do that. So SDGs, as we all know that this is a very comprehensive list of indicators which world is dealing with at this point in time. And the ones which relate to my topic today, probably every indicator is related with each other, but obviously the more robust relation of those indicators which are related to my topic or to my subject, that are number one is the no poverty, second is the gender equality, third is the decent world and economic growth, and fourth one, reduce inequality. These are four ones which I would concentrate upon vis-a-vis my discourse. So we have from international experience a couple of examples with us how women entrepreneurship has helped alleviate poverty. First one is from Somalia. I don't have presentation with me, so I would be narrating things on my own from a couple of pages which I have with me. So you have to bear with me in this regard. So in Somalia, which is in Africa, the study shows that the provision of entrepreneurial training that increases 20.4% of the income of entrepreneurs, and which helps lead to alleviate poverty. In Somalia, this is one of the very significant factor. In Nigeria, it has also female-owned micro-enterprises have played key role in poverty reduction. In India, again, the micro, small, and medium level entrepreneurship by women has made a strong contribution to the economic well-being of women, their family, and the community. In Bangladesh, we all are familiar with the great microfinance program used to be run by Grameen's Bank in the earliest days. It says the proper implementation of microcredit would empower the women and help them to establish the respect, independence, and participation in the communities. In Pakistan, persistent financial exclusion. So this is again what I'm saying is from the various researchers. Persistent financial exclusion, gender discrimination, and conservative religious values adversely impact women's empowerment. So these are basically some of the evidences which we have from internationally and from Pakistan. Now let's come to Pakistan. The situation in Pakistan is that, do you know that only 1% of all the entrepreneurs are women? Only 1%. So, which is extremely low as compared to the other countries. So this is, we need to work upon that. And secondly, only around 25% of women with a university degree in Pakistan are working. So around 400 ladies are here in this hall, out of which 25% would end up working as per this data, meaning thereby only 100, which is very low, I think so. So again, this is Asian Development Bank's findings. This low female labor force participation represents a major loss of potential productivity. It has also important implications for women's empowerment, as working women are more likely to play a role in household decision making compared with non-working women in the same villages or even the same families. Many women in Pakistan would like to work, but there are a lot of impediments in their work. So just relate those impediments with your own self. Few of the impediments are the restriction on their physical mobility. This is one of the things which you can relate to. If you have to go from one place to other place, you always feel a bit shy. You feel reluctant. That why should I move? I don't have facilities to move. I don't have good transport, etc. So also social, cultural, and religious norms, which also create a kind of hindrance in our way towards more women empowerment society. So These are some of the thoughts which come from the international and the Pakistan experience. However, let's talk about my own department now. Social welfare department. Social welfare department deals with, I already told you, that marginalized and vulnerable segments of society. What we work as a department, how many amongst you know about social welfare department? Can you raise your hands? So less than 0.1%. Very few know about this department. This is the unfortunate part. This is my fault. This is government's fault. They have been unable to disseminate this information to you. So what this department does, we run around 200 institutes in entire Punjab, entire province. Let me put forth another question to you. How many amongst you, if you can raise your hand, know about Sanatzars? Or have you heard about Sanatzar? Or have you worked in Sanatzar? A lot of women have worked in Sanatzar. I can see it's now around 25%. So Sanatzar is an industrial home which is run by social welfare department. That is a kind of a subsidiary of social welfare department, offshoot of social welfare department. We work for women empowerment in various ways. We run various institutes like the Sanatzar, which we call industrial homes, in which we give trainings to not only give trainings to the women and the ladies who come there, but also try to connect them with the market through their skill-oriented work which they do. So that is one way of connecting the women who don't have any kind of connection to the markets. That is how we create an opportunity for them to be self-reliant, to earn money. We invest upon them, not only in the training part, but also in the capital form as well. We give them various kind of raw materials, we give them equipments, that they give them place to make their products, to manufacture their product, and then connect them to the market. So this is one big aspect. We have around 40 industrial homes, Sanatzar in entire Punjab. In every district, there are 36 districts in Punjab. So in every district, there is one Sanatzar. And similarly, we have some other institutes in the name of Kasre Behbood, which also relate to the women entrepreneurship. So this is one aspect. Secondly, we also run institutes related to persons with disabilities. Like Nasheman is one of them, Chaman is one of them. So we have established orphanages as well, not only for boys but also for girls in various areas of Punjab. So these are various areas in which we work. Have you heard about Panaga? How many have Panagas? A lot of people know about Panaga, so that is a good sign. Anyone amongst you have ever stayed in Panaga? There are a couple of hands in the audience who have stayed in Panaga. So that is another project of this new government, which was initiated 3 years ago, and we have around 14 Panagas in entire Punjab, which are run by social welfare department. This is again social welfare department's subsidiary. We have Darul Falah, which basically deal with the destitute women, as well as the women who don't have any kind of income or places or shelter to go to. So we are working in the area of the most vulnerable segments of society. We try to empower women and as well as those vulnerable segments, including the children and the old age homes. We also run old age homes, which cater for the needs of elderly people who don't have any shelter in this area. So we provide them shelter as well as food. So these are the areas in which we are working at this point in time. And Social welfare department's mandate is to not only create equal opportunity, but also create equity. We work from different perspective, and we feel that this is the responsibility of any state and the government to provide equity to those who are vulnerable, who are marginalized, who are deprived of basic needs, basic facilities. We work from that perspective. Though these systems of social security in developed nations are extremely developed, extremely developed. In Pakistan or in Punjab especially, we don't have such developed systems because, again, unfortunately, the government don't have tendency to invest more upon the social security networks, the social security system. And one of the main reasons which probably distinguish us on the eastern side, like Pakistan, from the developed nations like those in Europe and the USA, is probably our family systems. This is another thought. I will leave this thought to you that in Pakistan especially, and in India, in this subcontinent, we have very strong family systems with us. And these families provide those social security networks to the family members, which are being provided by the state in developed nations. Because in developed nations, the family system has already broken. So there is no such family system, there's no family bonding. So if I ask you again, how many amongst you live in a joint family system? Joint family system. So this manifests the fact, and this strengthens my argument that in Pakistan, we have very strong bonding of our family values and family systems. Though this is again undergoing a deteriorating process in Pakistan. And ultimately, I foresee and I envisage that in next 10 years, probably, though we can try our best to conserve those family values and family systems, but in next 10 years, these family systems would be broken up to 80%. This is my assumption. And how we can work upon that to conserve our family values, and how important is that for us to conserve or preserve our family values and family systems. I leave this upon your judgment and your discretion, ultimately. So this is the main difference between the developed nations and us. And that is why probably the governments have not invested much upon social security net. But now government is realizing that because the gap is increasing, the family systems are breaking. We find in the society more single parents now in Pakistan than ever in the history of Pakistan. This phenomena is quite rampant in developed nations, this problem of single parents. So when you are a single parent, and especially a woman with kids and children, then and you don't have shelter, then it is extremely difficult for any woman to survive in our society because of great difficulties which are faced by the women, especially due to cultural mobility issues, the physical issues, as well as our norms, which keep us haunting, our society haunting. So probably that is again a great challenge which we are facing. Though we have only one center in the name of Darul Falah which deals with such kind of women, private sector is offering some kind of facility, but again it is quite meager. So government has to do something upon that in future, and we need to cater for the needs of especially the single parents, the problem which is rising at a rampant speed and exponential rate in Pakistan as well. So another thing which I want to share with you, what is the solution for all these problems, and what is my advice to all of you in this regard? How can you make yourself empowered, lead to poverty alleviation, create more equality, reduce the gender gap, and ultimately can have a more welfare equal, more sustainable society. So the only way to do that, I can foresee in the fruits of the digital revolution. The digital revolution has a lot of has given us a lot of potential to harness our energies together and create more opportunities for the women. So digital revolution has opened new windows of opportunities for all of us. And in COVID times, you all know, for the last 2 years, 2020, 21, they were the worst of times, for all of us, but the best of times for all those who knew the digital handling, the digital technology. So again, a quick poll from all of you that how many amongst you have mobile with us? Not here, even at home, or who keeps mobile? Can you raise a bit more? Okay. Okay. So all the men who are here, they don't have mobile. They're not raising their hands. So, but all the women, they are more empowered digitally. So that is a great sign. Everybody has a mobile. So how many amongst you have Android mobile or iPhone? Everybody. So great to watch, great to see that. And how many amongst you know how to use the internet? Great. They're very basic questions. I'm happy that you are responding 100%. How many amongst you use WhatsApp? This is a kind of enthusiasm which I'm seeing from you when I asked about WhatsApp. There was a lot of zeal and enthusiasm. How many amongst you use Facebook? So again, majority, more than 80%, they use Facebook. How many amongst you use Instagram? Taking selfies and posting it on Instagram. Yeah. Now a difficult question. How many amongst you use Twitter? Okay, great. It's really heartening to see that even more than 50% they use Twitter. So the digital literacy in this hall is, I think, is at the highest level I've ever seen. I've come across many such gatherings, but the digital literacy, which is prevalent in this hall, that is maximum. So you might be, I think, you might be better off. You have more opportunities to use these digital technologies because of multifarious reasons. But most of our population, especially the women sector, the women segment of society, they don't have any access to these digital technologies. If you go to rural areas, especially, though there is internet available, there may be many problems for those women to have an access to digital technology. And one of the reasons is maybe the access to internet, but the second reason is again the social problem and the economic problem as well. You need to have a mobile with you. I always quote one example, how digital technology has come forward to rescue us in difficult times, and how effective this communication has become in the last many years. I always quote one example, and this was baffling for me. This was quite surprising for me when I came across this incident. I was Deputy Commissioner in Lahore, and I already quoted this incident, Qasim Saab, in the last talk which I gave in your program. So this was COVID times, the worst of times, and we were managing the vaccination process and I hope you all are vaccinated. And the one camp which we established here, Dr. Saba, and that was again one of our steps which we took at that point in time. We created expo centers and drive-through concepts in Lahore as Deputy Commissioner Lahore. So we were dealing with this COVID problem, and I was doing a program with an anchor of a very famous television show near Hussain Chowk, which is in the heart of Liberty area, in Gulbarg area. So the drive was basically to create more awareness among the masses regarding the vaccination process. I was trying to people to understand why vaccination is important in COVID times. And suddenly there was a donkey cart that was coming from one area, and there was an old man around the age of 70, and he was on the cart, Gada ready. So we managed to stop him and just to ask him whether he is vaccinated or not. He said, I'm not vaccinated. And we asked him to please go to the nearest site and have yourself vaccinated. He said that I would never vaccinate myself. I asked him, why would you not vaccinate yourself? He said, because I received, and he was a totally illiterate person. He was into this driving donkey cart for the last 45 years. Only business which would he be having at that time for that 45 years. So why would you not vaccinate? He said, I would never vaccinate for the reason that I received a message on my WhatsApp 2 days ago that I would die in next 2 years if I get myself vaccinated. अगर 2 साल में मैं मर जाऊंगा अगर मैंने वैक्सीनेशन करवा ली इसकी. So how many amongst you at that time when this message was circulated really believed that you would die in next 2 years? Can you raise your hands? This is interesting. So most of the people would not believe in this information, and there may be many reasons and causes. Why would you not believe in that? But obviously there was a war of disinformation as well, and this is the other side of the digital technology, the social media in which we are, the social media age in which we are living today. That poses us a great challenge and threat of this disinformation as well. So we need to devise mechanisms and strategies to deal with such problems. So once there's a disinformation campaign from one side, the government as well as the other active groups, they need to come forward and to tackle this problem on their own, obviously. So we need to devise a strategy. In quickly digital revolution, the artificial intelligence, the big data, mobile robotics could improve female participation in economic life. It creates more social and economic autonomy amongst us in 3 ways. Number one, by bypassing cultural mobility barriers. So if you are using mobile technology, you are digitally literate, you can use this technology at home and can have access to the markets by your own self without going physically to the market. So that would, create a lot of opportunity for you to break those barriers, physical barriers, mobility barriers. That is why I'm for digital learning, the courses and the digital literacy. And that is the only way to combat many of those problems which are facing nowadays in our society, and how to empower our women in this digital age. Then women, this is the manifestation of, this is evident from the data and the research from entire world, that women have superior social skills as compared to the men. So if you are a woman, you have better social skills than men. This comes to another point which was narrated in the previous presentation, that only those survive that are most responsive to change. If I ask you again, Paul, that how many of you think about your own self that you are more responsive to change? If any change happens, you respond immediately. Can you raise your hand? यानी आप फ्लेक्सिबल है, कोई चेंज आती है तो आप उसको रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं, आप स्टबर्न नहीं होते. Can you raise your hand? And there is 2 men as well. So that's great. Safdar and the gentleman who is sitting in the back. So men are more stubborn, and this is what the data tells us. Men are more stubborn as compared to women. Men are more flexible to not only any kind of change. They adapt themselves to the change. They have more adaptive nature, not only in the families, in the community, at workplace, everywhere. So that is why their survival ratio is much more as compared to men. I was told by the current chairman, Federal Public Service Commission, Zaid Saeed Saab, so our ex-chief secretary as well. He is currently chairman, Federal Public Commission. I don't know whether this is true or not, but he was saying that अगर एक कपल है, husband and wife, अगर खातून फोत हो जाए, the lady partner, if she dies, बहुत जल्द 1 से 2 साल में मर्द भी फोत हो जाएगा. I don't know. अगर मर्द फोत हो जाए तो खातून has more tendency to survive. I don't know. So this is it true, really? Okay. So I don't want to comment upon that, but you need to think upon. But if you see around yourself, that seems true. Then think about your grandparents, and you can correlate this compromise substantially. You have a job market for a particular field, then there is a university that is producing the graduates. I have taken in my career hundreds of interviews, job interviews. If you ask me, I can single out a couple of universities only, few universities in Pakistan which produce really good stuff. So my advice always remains to all the university fellows and especially the policy makers, that yes, we need to expand the network of universities, but we really need to concentrate more upon the quality of education, and especially market-oriented quality education. जो चीज मार्केट को चाहिए वो चीज प्रोड्यूस करें, and that doesn't come only with education, that also is required through skill. So one thing which I request you to take home today from whatever I have shared with you is please create more digital literacy among your own self. Okay, it is good to have Android mobile, it is good to have mobile phones, it's good to have to use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on and so forth. But try to use them in productive way to create more entrepreneurship. So that is the only way through which you can compete, you can survive in the society, in this very difficult and challenging hyper-connected world. And this is a dilemma which we are facing nowadays. What one step we have done in our institutes, we have just started with, we are connecting our industrial home, the Sanazars, to Amazon. So now Amazon is open, and I'm really thankful to Qasim Shah Saab that you are providing us a lot of help and support in creating more digital literacy in our institutes, especially by connecting us to various platforms, digital platforms, including Amazon. So this would provide, we have seen that this is a kind of a pilot project which we are coming with in next 1 month after completing the training sessions of these women. Then we'll connect them with the Amazon market, and we'll try to explore more avenues, this kind of experiment which we are undergoing. And I'm very hopeful that we'll succeed in that. And this is the first big step for connecting the women entrepreneurs and women artisans directly to the markets. We'll provide them a platform. We'll be connecting bridge. So please explore those skills. Try to create those skills in your own self. Search for those skills that would help you connect with the e-commerce market, online markets. That is the future of this world. That is the future of our society. And that is the future for your own self. Thank you very much.